Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and I am going to be reading your tea leaves tonight. This is a horoscope for Aries. If Aries is your solar, lunar, ascendant/rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right. Trying to get myself going. Let's get started. Okay, knock, knock, knock. Oh, goodness. Whew. It has been a day. It has been a day. Not a bad day. Just kind of long, I guess. And so I'm just a little bit silly. And kind of sometimes like to have fun starting the readings out a little bit silly. So I hope you all are doing well. We are right in the middle of the new moon. So we have that wild new moon energy. Okay, let's see. We have some kind of interesting. I'm kind of looking at this one. It looks different from the different angles. Okay, so it looks like a person, and kind of at every angle it looks a little bit different. So we'll start here. Now it looks like a person, and this is the body, okay, and the arms are raised, and it almost looks like they're holding something, like a piece of string, or I imagine like holding something up to measure, right? And you're just kind of measuring, and what it really strikes in me is this feeling of kind of looking back on your life, right? And kind of measuring your different successes, your different perceived failures, just ultimately the passage of time, right? I think that you are really in a period of kind of taking stock of things, kind of reminiscing, but also just contemplating what your life has been like, right? And this kind of is starting to make sense to me based on the card that I pulled today. And I want to just get that pulled up here really quick so we can look at it. And so we have, in my estimation, one of the more beautiful cards from the Thoth deck, and this is the Princess of Cups. You can see she's wearing this beautiful kind of purple lilac robe, dress, tunic, whatever it's called. And she's holding the cup, which looks like a shell, and it looks like there's a turtle in there, and we have the goose, and we have the Piscean fish, and the lotus, and obviously heavy water symbolism, right? This is so much a card that is about a young soul, a younger soul, at least with the spirit of youth. Really great insights about maintaining, how do I say this? Limiting emotional, physical, even spiritual to some degree distractions, okay? To really retain and cultivate the focused emotional states, the focused spiritual states, the focused physical states and projects, right? These very specific passions or pursuits, okay? So having not a narrow kind of point of view or a narrow experience necessarily, but having the wisdom to eliminate these other stimuli, these things that interfere and kind of, pull you this way and that way and waste time. Okay, this is also a card that is very much about finding a way to get through life with all of its troubles and its surprises and devastations and traumas, while also maintaining a softness, a kindness. I won't say I don't really like the thought of a pure heart, right? But a caring heart, an empathetic heart, right? That makes more sense to me. I don't know what a pure heart even means, really, but I think that this is this is a beautiful, beautiful kind of configuration to strive for. And it really also is heavily dependent on, the cards you've been dealt. And I mean, this is literally a tarot card, but your circumstances, right? Some of us, came out of the womb with difficulties going on around us. I mean, big things, traumatic things. Some of us have very charmed lives and then later on go through some really devastating things. Very few people get through life unscathed by sorrow, grief. Okay? So, while I love the sentiment of this, I think that it's a lovely goal to have. I also know that when you've been through some things, often you're just lucky to survive, right? To survive the circumstances, and depending on, what the devastation is, survive yourself, So anyways, I love this. This is one of my favorite cards because it really reminds me of, just kind of this real, beautiful, small window of time when you have, kind of the, dreamy idealism of young life, but also, hopefully some kind of education, know-how, beginning a skill set, or growing up in a family or environment where you are learning how to do things from a young age. So you're not reliant on others so much anymore, but you're young enough that you can be deeply in love easily, and the world seems very big and enchanting, and you can easily get into these kinds of whimsical places, and to be driven by kind of honest and authentic want to help others, to be of service to your family, your community, endeavors that you care about. Okay. And so I'm looking at this, and we look at this kind of estimation of a passage of time, right? Now I turn this and it kind of almost looks like this person is crawling. And now they almost look like they're wearing a fur, kind of this dog's head, a fur, still have their dress on. They're crawling across. Okay. And so this reads for me as the ordeals, the initiation into the deeper mysteries of becoming an adult, becoming a knowing person, a learned person, somebody who is beginning to truly cultivate wisdom about life, okay? And then we get to this part where we look at this, and it's still that kind of dog's head, the fur hood. I was trying to think mask, hood. Okay, and still the body with the dress or robe, and the arm raised up, and this kind of looking up and howling into the universe, into the sky, into, the breasts of Nuit, into that mother, that bringer of life, right? Bringer of the mysteries of the cosmos. And a little bit of, there's the awe, but there's a sorrow, right? We think of a coyote, a wolf, a dog. And look at this, even mirrored over here, we have the dog, and we'll talk about this in just a minute. We have a dog, head raised, howling at the moon, right next to this one. So this is an important motif in this story. And I think that it really is a feeling of kind of calling out into the great unknown, a little tinge of loneliness, maybe feeling almost worn by time and forgotten a little bit by the universe, alienated from the world that we sometimes feel like we've grown out of. And I feel like I think about, I'm just, going through my mind here and thinking, it's like a longing for that last time, a long time ago, it seems like, right? That last time that you really felt unimpeded by responsibility, a sense of freedom, the ability to get lost in time, no schedules, at least nothing too strict. You could lay around in the afternoon in the sun. I think about maybe like that last summer, before you go to college or before you go out in the world and get your first real job. You've graduated. Nobody's really going to be holding your hand anymore through every little step of things. You're kind of, suddenly an adult, but you're on the cusp of it, right? That last summer, when the world seemed like it had endless potential. Okay. I think about, this idea, and maybe this is because I'm starved for the sun. It's raining today again, and I just need some vitamin D. But, you know, just that warm sun and the feeling of I'm gonna, you know, just kind of go wherever the wind takes me today. And really just, you know, being able to connect to others easily. People that you feel you've known for a long time, even if it's only been a couple years, you went to school together or whatever. But these relationships come easier when you're young, I think. They feel very intense when you're young. Everything seems so much more intense, right? And then, you know, you go into the world and you do the things that we do and become adults, and we have responsibilities and bills and schedules and calendars and jobs and more jobs and, you know, families. And then you find yourself looking for, you know, a little me time. And, you know, often what does that look like? You're multitasking when you're, you know, spending a few minutes by yourself, still working. And that's okay. I mean, that's fine. If that's the life we choose and we want that, you know, but it's tiring. And of course we become nostalgic for those old feelings of maybe the closest thing to freedom that we'll ever have, right? While being conscious of the world to some degree. Of course, you know, when you're really young, you feel very free. The world feels very magical, and it is. But you're not as conscious as you are when you're 16, 17, 18 years old. And that's, you know, I think anyways, in my experience, was the last time that I was not responsible for paying my rent or getting to work on time or doing my own laundry or, you know, all these things that now seem, you know, not as hard, but that transition into adulthood, that's a real struggle, right? And then life just, it gets more complicated as you go. So I feel that we've gotten to this place lately. It's not a sad place. I don't think anything is really wrong necessarily, but I think that you're thinking about these feelings. I think that you feel sometimes like going out back and howling at the moon, maybe, you know, singing your, you know, just a little bit melancholy song. Just maybe somebody out there will hear you, right? Or maybe they'll even howl right back. Let's see. What else do we have here? We have a little person. Looks like they're playing some kind of instrument. Okay. And I really think, like I said, there doesn't seem to be a huge problem here. I think that you're really just going through a contemplative state. And I think that makes sense from the last readings that we had. You're very much in the spiritual zone. Okay, and you're very plugged in right now, very aware of the currents that are flowing through your life, the frequencies of your environments. You know, there are, I think, you know, really this messaging coming through, seeing patterns and maybe numbers, synchronicities. But I think you're also deep in these kind of in-between places as well, in your kind of small dissociative states in between things happening in your life. Just kind of, gazing off and coming into these memories that feel very potent, very alive, okay? And I think that these periods of time in our lives are important. I don't think it's good to always just go head first, forward, constantly just grinding away. I also think that, taking a big break, which is, you need breaks, but just kind of turning your mind off completely, not thinking about that, we need that as well here, these little resets. But in between those two things, we also definitely need time to think about our lives. Okay. And so I'm seeing this sign of this musician, and it's leading me in two directions here. I think that it's important for you to write about these things, process some of your feelings, process some of your memories, record them. Okay. Put them into your art, put them into your music. And on the other side of that, I think it's important for you to also kind of find a strand that will lead you back to some of these feelings of that kind of freedom that you are kind of really feeling nostalgic about. I think going to some music, seeing the kinds of bands that you like or liked then, going to art shows, art walks, whatever it is, little festivals. The summer's coming up here. It's going into winter in the southern hemisphere, but I imagine there's so many things going on all the time, at all times of the year, as they do here as well, although you have to get your sled out to get to some of them. And so I think that, there will be opportunities for you to go out and experience some of the things that might make you feel a little closer to that kind of uninhibited place, that kind of timeless place. Carve out a little bit of a weekend or whatever it is. But I think it should be intentional periods of time. I think that's so important. Intentional, right? Not just, overly scheduling like a vacation, okay? But also not under scheduling either. Maybe getting yourself to a place and just kind of hanging out. But I think there should be some intention to what you want to do. Okay? And I think just kind of revisiting some of those places, reliving some of the things that you did and places you went, and maybe even the people that were around in your life at that time, whatever it is. That will get you just a taste of that feeling. For me, I think about going to the ocean, just literally the air of the ocean brings me back to my childhood, but especially those last years of high school, before, I went off into my adulthood, camping on the beach and going to, for me also, this is why I also bring up the shows, going to a lot of music stuff, just driving around You know, it's a bit expensive to just be driving around anymore. But, you know, I think just finding things that let you get out of your routine, that's important. Let's see. I'm looking at this and it looks like a staircase, but it also reminds me of kind of a child or fetus being attached to a placenta and an umbilical cord. And I really think that this is very much a symbol of your attachment to that. I know we all get annoyed hearing this, but the inner child, right? I think that there's just this, whatever it is that's coming up in your life right now. If you are going into middle age, if you're going into your retirement years, some kind of transitional place where you feel like, and there's no certain age, okay? It's just sometimes our life realigns and we start to feel differently and we really think back on those old things. And so I feel that there is something going on that really is kind of making you think about these things. But really that child within really wanting to get out, wanting less restriction and more just kind of being able to regain some of that childlike awe and just to enjoy the experiences as they are. Looking for contentment in little things and in the subtle, right? Finding ways to play with things, enjoy things that otherwise would seem mundane. And I say this because I have a toddler. No matter what you buy her, if it's the most interesting fancy toy that she could ever imagine, you know, not unlike a cat, she's going to want to play with the box and play with the little pieces that tie the thing in. But, you know, the toy, that's kind of an afterthought. So I think that we can take a little bit of a note from seeing children and cats kind of really enjoying those things that aren't necessarily meant to be toys, right? But being creative and not constrained by the rules of what things are and what they're not, right? And just making use of everything that is around them for their own entertainment and enjoyment and learning. And let's see, I want to look at this last one. And I'm just really seeing this as a chariot, okay? And for me, it just really is about putting in the work to kind of navigate this place that you're in, okay? And I don't think that it's necessarily a lot of difficult work, not super tied to processing or excavating trauma or, you know, doing processing grief or whatever these things that we all have in our life, right? I think this is just really the work of allowing yourself to get back to that simpler place. Just even if it's briefly, okay? And it's hard. It's hard to, I think there's so much guilt around simplifying your life and enjoying yourself. I know we live in a culture that's all about these kind of pleasure things and leisure things, but so much of it is so performative that it's really hard to believe that very much is even enjoyable. But when it really does come to doing the things that are a relief, that kind of cut some of the chains of upkeeping an image, or you know, some of the unnecessary responsibilities, or whatever it is, right? Keeping up with our neighbors and our family and this and that. When we just allow ourselves to be content, to live without all the frills sometimes. For some reason, people don't really like that. And it doesn't even, not even necessarily that people don't really, we don't allow ourselves to feel okay with doing that. There's just a weird guilt about it. And so the work really is to overcome some of that, even if it's just baby steps into it. Just letting yourself get back to that place where things are simpler. You know, you're 17 years old, you're probably broke. You know, you probably are borrowing your parents' car or something. You probably have about 5 places that you can go without adults bothering you or watching over you or telling you what to do or whatever. And yet, you somehow make like the best memories, have the most involved experiences, right? And so let's try to get back to that feeling. Okay, let's see. We have a lot of water, a lot of water here. Okay, so I feel like this is feeling pretty emotional for you, but I don't think that I don't feel like this is like a negative thing, really. I feel like it's emotional because it's kind of empowering. And I kind of see this little staff right here. And I just feel this deep sense of being kind of your own leader, your own like guru, your own holy person, and just really leading yourself into the places that you need to go, and feeling a lot of confidence in that, feeling very emotional about that, and just coming to a place where it's like you can breathe, okay, and feeling like, you know, you've been holding your breath for a long time. And so I think in this next week or two, really please, even if it's just something very brief that you do, it doesn't have to be a whole day. It doesn't even have to be a whole hour, but just do something that you used to love to do. Do something that makes you feel like you're not being responsible. And now I'm not saying go out and be wild and do something, you know, that's going to be destructive. Please don't. But do something that makes you feel like you, I don't know, you know, or just kind of, what is it? Like you're cutting school or something, right? Like you're not, it's a little bit naughty, right? Okay, Aries, that is going to be our reading today. I appreciate your time. I'm always so honored to bring these messages to you. If you would be so kind as to like the video, it helps me get into the algorithm. Slowly building the channel, and that's how we like it. We're getting, you know, people are coming back and building a little family here, and I appreciate each and every one of you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please think about doing so. You can hit the little bell thing. It will let you know when the next videos are coming out. The next Aries video will be out in 1 week. In the meantime, you can watch your other placements. And if you want to leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. You all are so very sweet and kind and bring the best energy. So I appreciate that. Okay, Aries, thank you, thank you, thank you.